Hello, all my faithful followers and beautiful listeners. Today, we're fact-checking the fact checkers. Let's dive right in. So, I do note that this is a great statement. I kind of fall by it. Fact checkers really didn't exist until, say, the truth started coming out. We didn't used to need fact checkers. This was the fact checker, right? If you heard something that was BS, we would trust each other to sort that out. But now, apparently, we need a lot of hand-holding in life. And fact checkers have come along to tell us what's true, what's not. How are they doing, though? This is something we have to talk about. So let's start here. The fact checker landscape, all sides, has put out this fact check bias chart saying that, hey, you got a lot of stuff down the center. They call the BBC, the Dispatch, Pointer down there, who we're going to talk about more today, Reuters, etc. And leaning a little bit left, AP, PolitiFact, Snopes, all of that, USA Today, Washington Post, and on the left, CNN. I have my own interpretation of this landscape. It looks more like this, where these are all definitely leaning left. Then you've got left, and then you've got very left, and then you've got deranged over here. And down there, I would have to include as well all the social media giants, as well as Wikipedia. Wikipedia has turned into a very biased source of scrubbing of the news. So that's really what I see fact checkers often doing. They are not checking facts so much as what they're doing is gatekeeping. There's a big difference. Now, why is this important? Hey, we're told we're supposed to trust randomized controlled trials. That's the gold standard. Peer-reviewed science. That's the gold standard. Hey, this has been fact-checked. That's how we know it's true. Not so fast. That's what we got to talk about here today. So today we're going to check up on the AP Fact Checkers. Let's start here. This was something that came out on July 29th. Social media posts have claimed without evidence that COVID-19, those things I can't talk about here anymore, were to blame for the recent deaths of 3 doctors in Canada. And you can see down there that they had about 1,100 likes and almost 1,100 comments. So the ratio wasn't really strongly on their side. What was this? Well, first up, fact checks are supposed to be about the facts. When you can't distinguish between a fact and an assertion, that's a rookie mistake. Here we see the AP making a big rookie mistake. They say here the claim, 3 doctors at one hospital system in Canada recently died from COVID-19 things there. And their assessment was that's false because the hospital system for which the doctors work called such claims simply not true. Case closed. This isn't how any of this works. If the hospital wants to make that assertion, that's fine. It doesn't become factual until they provide evidence to go along with it. Did they provide any evidence? Were there any autopsies? No. Any clinical data? No. There was just the bald assertion that we say so. And the AP checked with the hospital, checked that fact out, and the hospital said, yeah, that's what we said. And AP said, oh, therefore we declare it false. Obviously, that's a major error right there. Next, a second problem is that it wasn't 5 doctors, as they said, it wasn't 3 doctors like they said, it was 5 doctors, including this one right here. This Ontario doctor, 27, died after collapsing during a triathlon, 27 years old, obviously in the prime of her life, very fit. This is a very unusual thing. And of course, they just left that out of their fact check, possibly because it didn't fit the fact check narrative. So that's the case I'm making here. These fact checkers are not checking facts. They're promoting narratives. That makes what they're doing not all that different from anybody else who would use a media platform to disseminate things that are patently not factual. There's a recent court case around that. I think this is trending into that same territory. Also, not so strangely, they really didn't look into this, I think, because it did not support their narrative. So this is a true case. Here's the statement from McMaster Children's Hospital about this tragic case right here. All right, so the media can always commit 2 big sins. Sin 1, a sin of commission. That's where they're blatantly lying. They're getting their facts wrong. They're misquoting people, or they're making up things like sources that don't actually exist. So that's a sin of commission. Hey, they happen. Sins of omission are where the media forgets to tell you about something like, oops, did we leave out that doctor who died during a triathlon? Or they leave out important details that provide necessary context. They're not writing about the stories at all, so you don't even hear about them. Or they take quotes badly out of context, taking snips and fragments and trying to reframe things in a light other than is actually accurate or factual or like good reporting. So this is what we've seen here. And by the way, this is something that just came out from a FOIA request that is part of a lawsuit. And it turns out that this is something that was set out in September of 2020. And this is pretty astonishing what's going on right here. This is a letter that went out to the heads of all these big places like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, Alphabet, and also Twitter. That's the biggies. And what happened here was this is coming straight out of the White House, and they're saying, hey, you know what? We would really appreciate it if you would help us, tackle this thing called information designed to sow division. They hadn't quite figured out the misinformation, malinformation, disinformation, things like that at any rate. And then they say, since 2016, your companies have taken important steps to stop the spread of false information. And while we appreciate all of that, they carry on and keep talking about this. And so what happens is we find out that it's been something that these media companies have been absolutely doing, is working hand in hand with the government to define what is misinformation, what is disinformation, and how they're going to stop the spread of it. Interestingly, so check this out. The intelligence community has confirmed, the intelligence community, can I find them in the phone book? Is there an address for these people? And according to the New York Times, some of your platforms have also confirmed that our elections are being targeted by Russia and other foreign adversaries. And of course, we found out later that really that was not the case, or it was very, very, very much overblown. Certainly not deserving of this sort of a reach out from the White House. But I would draw your attention down here. They're citing things. They're citing things. So here they're citing a statement by NCSN director here. And also, look, they're citing a New York Times article here. Russians, again, targeting Americans with disinformation, Facebook and Twitter say. And this is something written by a Shira Frankel. A Shira Frankel. I want to talk to you about Shira Frankel for just a second. But before I go there, first, I got to mention, hey, if because of this little event that happened down here, I don't know how long I'm going to be allowed to remain on the platforms that I do. If you ever find you can't find me, or it seems like I've gone quiet, you can find me at Peak Prosperity right there. That's where you can find me on Twitter, Rumble, and increasingly a place called sovereign.media. That's like .com. It's a .media extension, Odyssey down there. And of course, we're facing this kind of censorship all the time on this channel. And as well, if you really, really want to be sure that you are not missing anything that I'm coming up with, or want to tag in with the great, amazing community we have at Peak Prosperity, we have membership options available there for you as well. Would love to have you come and be part of that. Or just come by, sign up for our newsletter, and then at least you'll get an email notifying you what we're up to and where to find us and what new and latest information has come out on Peak Prosperity. And there's stuff there every single day. All right, so back to this thing. Who is this Shira Frankel? Well, this really interesting article came out recently titled "How Some Parents Changed Their Politics in the Pandemic." New York Times, very recent here. It came out August 1st. I think you can tell from the URL, though, what really the slant of this might be. And because they say how some parents change their politics in the pandemic, but down there it says anti-vax parentix political party. I think we can figure out where this article's going and why. And oh, hey, here's Shira again, showing up, obviously being rewarded for writing articles. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is not an article. It's presented as an article. It's presented with facts. But if I was fact checking the fact checkers and I wanted to fact check a certain article that was unfactual, it would be this one. Because what I see here is a propaganda piece. Now, the essence of propaganda is to emotionally lead somebody towards a particular political conclusion, right? But in this day and age, politics is sometimes money for companies. Very hard to distinguish this from a pure propaganda piece, and I'll tell you why. Everything that I've bolded there is what I consider to be an emotionally leading word. This is how I read articles. I'm looking at this article, and I'm thinking, hey, is this article informing me, or is it leading me? All right. Well, and quote, she's writing about a Miss Longnecker, who's one of these parents whose politics might have changed. Ms. Longnecker and her fellow objectors are part of a potentially destabilizing new movement. Parents who joined the anti-vaccine and anti-mask cause during the pandemic, narrowing their political beliefs to a single-minded obsession over those issues. Their thinking hardened, even as COVID-19 restrictions and mandates were eased and lifted, cementing, in some cases, into a skepticism of all vaccines. Nearly half of all Americans masking, and a similar share is against vaccine mandates for school children, polls show. Odd little tidbit there. But what is obscured in these numbers is the intensity with which some parents have embraced these views. On and on and on. And you can just see this is for the White House to be quoting Shira is an exemplar of what's true and what's not true. I think we can detect the bias that's just dripping out of this writing right now. And it's not just Shira, it's her editor who didn't strip any of this out, and their editor. This is approved messaging from the New York Times, right? Objectors, destabilizing, narrowing, cementing, hardened, skepticism, transformation injects unpredictable. Boy, it's exhausting to wade through that stuff, but it's not news. This is an opinion piece, belongs on the op-ed page. All right, now back to this. So fact-checking at the AP. So we had the AP, they came in, they fact-checked that article was wrong, that these 3 doctors that had died, they fact-checked that and found that anybody who said it was anything other than what the hospital said or asserted was making misinformation or spreading disinformation. So who are these medical geniuses at the AP who are doing the fact-checking? We never peel it back. So I thought, hey, let's peel this back. Who are these people? I mean, the AP is a big organization. They've been around a long time. They have a huge reputation to protect. So obviously, if I'm in their position, I would say if I'm going to be fact-checking certain areas, right? If I'm fact-checking technology, I'm going to want somebody with a technology background. If I'm fact-checking, NASA and space issues, I'd want somebody with a little experience in that set. But if I'm fact-checking things around medical or scientific areas, I'd want people with some expertise. That's how I would do it. That would be commonsensical. So who is AP Fact Check? Well, it's led by Barbara Whitaker here and Ruth Brown. So those two are in charge of the overall fact-checking here at AP. And Barbara Whitaker, let's see what her science background here is. News editor for AP Verification, managing a team. Knocks down false news circulating online. That's so brave of you, Barbara. Keep it up. She's based internationally. She's a journalist. She's written for the Philadelphia Inquirer, New York Newsday, Dallas Morning News. She also taught a live journalism class while editing, lifestyle journalism class while editing for AP on contract in Warsaw, Poland. So no science there. That's okay. Maybe her co-lead, Ruth Brown, I'm getting a vibe off of Ruth too here. So weekend news editor for AP Verification, based in New York City. She used to work for Crikey, a political email newsletter. Nothing to do with Steve Irwin. Bachelor degree in arts, degree in politics. Also wrote for the Willamette Week in Portland, Oregon. Quite a lefty rag there, if you know anything about that. Maybe even left of left. Pretty far out there. So no science. What about Beatrice Dupuy, who actually fact-checked one of my articles a while back and declared it false? Beatrice, among her many accolades and background exemplars here, worked for Teen Vogue for a period of time. And she has a degree in journalism with a minor in French. So not Beatrice with a science background. Arietta is a BA in literature and politics, MS in journalism. Nope, not her either. Allie, degree psychology from Loyola. Okay, we're getting closer. And a journalism degree from Columbia, but still not the science expert I'm looking for here. Angelo, he's got a bachelor's in journalism from Temple. Not Angelo. What about Karina? She used to work for Time for Kids, and a literacy journalism with a minor in digital information systems. So nope, not Karina. Marcos, journalist for BBC. Sorry, Marcos, you got a strike right there, because the BBC is one of the largest disinformation outlets out there, on par with the New York Times, as far as I'm concerned. And he collaborated in the production of podcasts around the spread of fake news in Mexico. Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism. So, yep, it's all about journalism. So he's a journalist. Fine, nothing wrong with being a journalist. But I'm looking for the science background. Continuing on in the AP Fact Check roster of characters here, Barbara Ortute is a technology reporter, political science degree, a minor in LGBT studies, so still not finding the science we're looking for. Amanda. Well, Amanda's many accomplishments include spending a night in -8-degree weather documenting the city's homeless population. So there's that. Still no science. David Klepper, School of Journalism. Coming up short here. Anybody else? Cal Woodward. He's been around the block a couple times. Obviously, he's more of a politics fact checker, but FAIR, which is fairness and accuracy in reporting, has given him pretty much a D-, saying, quote, "Why does AP still let Cal Woodward fact check political speeches? Does no one at the service know what actual fact checking looks like?" Cal gets a really low grade on that. And of course, the FAIR has a number of blogs specifically about Cal whiffing on his political fact checking, but he is now clearly one of the fact checkers that's involved in the AP Fact Check about all things, including all things COVID at this point. Rounding out the complete roster, finishing it up here is Hope Yen, national reporter based in Washington, D.C., has reported on the Supreme Court, demographics, veterans affairs, and politics. And that's it. Maybe had some reporting on Hillary Clinton. So that's it. That is the complete rundown of all the AP fact checkers. These are the people who are checking the facts to make sure that people like me aren't mischaracterizing certain things out there, like those hospital deaths we saw. Here's what I notice. The AP fact checkers do not have anybody with a solid science background in their fact-checking universe. Not one. So the next time you hear that the AP has fact-checked something, I just want you to think about who the fact-checkers are, because it's not like fact-checking is this anointed thing, and once you get passed into the fact-checking universe, you are the best of the best, and you are the least biased, most rational, and most balanced person in the universe. In fact, you're just probably a person bringing your own biases into the game. All right, that's all I have for you today on AP Fact Checking.